No one can interfere with us, not even my father. The thought runs like steel through my veins, silent but unyielding. I have spent my life moving to the rhythm of others, my tutors, my guards, the council, and above all, the king whose shadow has always stretched across my path. But here, in this moment, there is a clarity that refuses to bend. For once, I know exactly where I stand, and no decree from the throne could make me step back. I was raised to measure loyalty in titles and treaties, to believe that love was a luxury too dangerous for heirs to touch. Yet the moment I found you, every lesson I had been taught cracked along its edges. I began to see how narrow a world becomes when you live only for duty. My father taught me that control is strength, but the strength I feel now isn't born from control at all. It rises from the fire of protecting something fragile and irreplaceable. He will not understand, at least not at first. His gaze will harden, and I will hear the echo of every warning ever given to a prince about where to place his heart. But even as I imagine that weight, I know I won't break beneath it. The years I have spent walking carefully, bowing my head, holding my tongue, all of them have led to this quiet rebellion, to the certainty that there are some truths worth standing for, even against a father's command. I picture the council rooms, the long tables where plans for my future have been inked without my consent. How easily they speak of alliances, of what I should give and gain. They forget that I am not a chess piece to be moved across their boards. There is more in me than the prince they shaped. There is a man who has finally decided what he will defend. That decision does not come without shadow. I feel it press close, the knowledge that love, especially in this world, invites conflict. There will be whispers behind silk curtains, threats disguised as counsel, eyes watching every step I take toward you. But shadows cannot smother a flame that has chosen to burn, and my resolve, though quiet, has teeth. I want to believe that strength and gentleness can exist together, that I can stand between us and every storm without letting the darkness inside me harden into a cage. What I fight for is not possession. It is the right for us to breathe without fear, to shape our own story even when the corridors around us close in. So I let the vow settle deep, deeper than the voice of any king. Whatever battles wait at the edges of this love, I am ready to face them. The life they planned for me was carved from stone, but stone can crack. And through that crack, something living has found its way in. I will not let it be taken, not by ambition, not by tradition, not even by the man who gave me my name. There is a calm that settles over me when I finally stop wrestling with hesitation. It is not the peace of surrender but the steadiness of a man who has chosen his path, however jagged it may be. For years, every instinct in me was trained to obey, to weigh consequences before I spoke, to accept the future drawn out by hands older than mine. Yet all of that seems to fade whenever I think about what waits if I dare to stand firm. It is not rebellion for its own sake. It is the quiet conviction that some things are worth claiming with open hands and an unshaken heart. I walk the halls of the palace and see them differently now. The tapestries, the polished stone, the heavy doors meant to guard secrets. They all feel smaller, less permanent, as if the walls themselves know they can no longer hold me hostage. Each step whispers of promises I have yet to fulfill, of a life that could be larger than duty alone. I realize how long I have been waiting for a reason to push beyond what was written for me, and now that reason has a name, a face, a heartbeat I would know anywhere. The path ahead is not blind to me. I know the arguments that will come. My father's voice, cold and clear, will speak of legacy, of the cost of stepping outside the line he drew before I even took my first breath. There will be courtiers eager to remind me that every choice has a price, but their warnings no longer carry the weight they once did. A man who has discovered what gives him purpose cannot be swayed by fear of losing comfort. Comfort without meaning is only another kind of prison. Even in the stillness of the night, when doubt tries to settle on my shoulders, there is an ember that refuses to die out. It is not loud or violent. It glows steady, reminding me why I have endured all these years of measured restraint. I do not want a life that drifts by unchallenged, one where I wake each morning already resigned to the shape of my days. I want a life that asks for my courage, one that tests whether I am willing to build something enduring with my own hands. I think of all the stories told to me as a boy, tales of rulers who let fear write the end of their lives, and those who dared to carve new paths, even when their crowns hung by a thread. It is easy to admire them in history, but harder to walk that line in the present, when the faces of those you love watch anxiously from the shadows. And yet, courage is only real when it costs something. The question is never whether the price exists, but whether the prize is worthy of it. I have seen enough of the world to know that worth is rarely found in gold or titles. It lies in the quiet moments when your heart knows what it wants. Even if your mind counts the risks, it lies in standing between those you love and the forces that would tear them away. It lies in deciding that happiness is not selfish when it is shared, when it is built carefully and fiercely at the same time. So I keep that resolve close, holding it as carefully as a blade hidden beneath silk. There will be storms. There always are for those who refuse to bow their heads. But storms also clear the air, strip away the false, and leave only what is strong enough to remain. And I intend to remain unshaken, because what waits beyond the noise is a life that finally feels like it belongs to me, a life I am willing to guard no matter who tries to step between us. Every choice I've made until now feels as though it was written in someone else's hand. That is the way of a palace. Decisions disguised as gifts, paths paved before you ever take a step. But this time I know the ink is mine alone. The air tastes different when you know what you're willing to defend. It sharpens everything, even the silence between heartbeats. I have spent years watching others decide who I should become. That ends the moment I draw a line no one is allowed to cross. There is a strange strength that comes with clarity. It isn't loud or reckless. It moves quietly, like a river carving stone. That strength tells me that holding firm is not about defiance for its own sake. It is about protecting the space where something rare can grow. I look at the world around me and see how fragile beauty becomes when left undefended. It makes me careful, yes, but it also makes me unwilling to surrender ground that matters more than comfort or favor. I've learned that in royal halls, loyalty is often bartered, affection weighed against advantage. But there are bonds that cannot be measured in strategy. They are born in the quiet, in the way two people look at each other and know the truth before it's spoken. That kind of connection is not an accessory to power. It is a force that steadies you when the room turns hostile. It is worth enduring every whisper and daggered glance just to keep it alive. Even so, I can feel the storm gathering on the horizon. My father's expectations, the council's hunger for control, the slow creep of gossip. They are all familiar opponents. I've faced them before, though never for something that mattered as much as this. The difference now is that there is no part of me still weighing whether it's worth the fight. The decision has already been made, and I find a strange calm in that. What surprises me is how this certainty doesn't harden into rage. Instead, it carries a quiet warmth, the kind that comes from finally aligning who you are with what you want. It lets me imagine a future not dictated by obligation but shaped by choice. Days where laughter is not rationed, where every step is taken with someone who understands why you refuse to let shadows rule your life. That vision gives strength to my voice. Even when others try to drown it out, I know there will be moments when doubt creeps in, when the pressure of expectation presses hard enough to steal breath. But the memory of why I stand where I do will outlast that weight. A man who has nothing to lose can afford to drift. A man who has something worth guarding learns to anchor himself. And I have never felt more anchored than I do now, holding fast to the promise that some things are meant to be fought for, even against tides that seem too vast. So I hold the thought steady, letting it settle deep as bedrock. Whatever storms might rise, whatever commands may try to bend my will, they will find a man who has learned the cost of compromise and chosen instead to stand. For once, I am not living a story drafted by others, I am writing my own, and in its pages there is no room for fear to steal what I've finally claimed as mine to protect. I often wonder how history will paint me. Will they call me reckless, a prince who placed desire before duty, or will they see that duty itself is hollow if it is not bound to something real, something worth bleeding for? I have read the stories of rulers who bowed to expectation and died remembered but unloved. I cannot bring myself to follow their path. If the world is to judge me, let it be for daring to fight for a truth too powerful to be silenced. Every corridor I walk whispers of consequences. The council will see betrayal in my choices, the court will hunger for scandal, and my father's gaze will sharpen with disappointment. Yet none of it frightens me the way losing you would.